Greetings. Oh, geez. That's some terrible noise. Greetings. Welcome back to Blackberry News, where everything is connected. I was working on getting the call-in app connection working. I think it's working now, so we're live on call-in. If somebody wants to call in, you will be able to be heard. But I've got to do something about this hum in my audio, which is really bad. I don't know what. All right. Anyways, good to see you all. Greetings and welcome. Yeah, man, we got just some insane amounts of rain. It has finally stopped. I think for the day. I think the rain has stopped for the day. I'm hoping so. I'm a little bit over it, but it was just wild. I can tell you that it's different. I'm not imagining things. I don't think I'm imagining things. Where did I see? Kameshwara, you're still getting it at Mill Valley? Oh, geez. Yeah, it's really causing a lot of issues for quite a few people. I honestly have never experienced the amount of rain we've gotten so persistently. I mean, it's one thing, sure, I've been in downpours before. I've experienced heavy rain. But for days on end, Kameshwari, hail and rain, downpours, we cannot get our train returned to Vancouver. I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, it sucks. Static? What kind of static? Do I need to replug in? Hold on 1 second. Check, check. Okay, I think we're okay. I think we're back. Sorry. Sorry about all the sound issues. Yeah, the rain is really quite intense. I seriously, I've never experienced that intense of rain. In fact, not anywhere else in the country. I've been all around the country. I've been in all kinds of weather. I've been in some serious storms. And I have never, even in Florida and Alabama near the Gulf Coast, I've experienced, heavy downpours, but not anything that lasted that long. That lasted literally like 24 hours. I've never been in anything like that. And now we have that all the time. That's now normal weather or regular weather. And what I mean by all the time, I don't mean like all the time this year. I mean, in the last few years, that's how it's been. The weather has definitely changed. Road closures all over. Yeah. Yeah. So just kind of somebody actually writing and giving people new, actual climate science in this article, which I found surprising. And I was like, hey, this person is, or maybe it's gone. Anyways, oh, California's wild swings in weather explained. This was not bad. California has always been known for its Mediterranean climate, dry summers, wet winters that prime the landscape for a strong agricultural economy, renowned wineries, perfect weather for tourists from around the country. But climate scientists say these same factors also make California vulnerable to extreme changes in climate and weather patterns, causing them to swing like a pendulum from drought to floods, a sort of weather whiplash. Human-caused climate change is not just increasing the severity of extreme weather around the country, but it is also interrupting the usual patterns and increasing the potential for this weather whiplash, especially in California, to occur more often. I actually, I have an issue with the human-caused climate change thing. You don't need to preface. I understand why they do that. To make sure that people understand that it's human caused. And you don't really need to do that. I feel like it's a little over the top. You just say climate change. The parade of atmospheric river storms currently battering California is all happening against the backdrop of a years-long climate change-fueled mega drought that has drained the state's reservoirs and triggered water shortages. But while these storms usher in much-needed rainfall and snow, to the dried-up state, the parched landscape is less able to absorb all the rain, causing widespread flooding due to the storm's intensity and back-to-back nature. Anyways, a 2018 study in journal Nature found that these huge swings in weather could occur twice as frequently in the future, with the most frequent swings in Southern California. Extremely wet years are expected to become 2.5 times more likely by the end of the century, while extremely dry years will occur up to 140% more frequently. I'm sorry. Is that? I think that's 1.4 times. I don't know why they use two different numbers. Anyways. Climate scientists told CNN it's time for California to rethink how it manages the wet times. As the multi-year drought continues, how can it harness the water to be used in the dry months? Scientists suggest relying less on levees and letting the land around rivers flood safely so the water has a chance to seep into underground aquifers. Okay, I guess there's one way to do it. But there's been a lot of damage, a few deaths. And so it's, a pretty severe storm. I had something I want to show you. If I can find it. Oh, here we go. And this is what I mean by, when people are experiencing these differences, not just in weather, but the fact that there's quite a few less insects, right? Or there's not as much snow, or the snowpack melts really fast, or there's no more glaciers and they're melting away, right? There's no more snow on the Alps. There's, right? People are experiencing these drastic changes in the climate and what's happening in the biosphere. They're not imagining it, you know. They're not making it up. They're not, hyping it up. They're actually experiencing these things. These are things that actually need to be hyped more. Right? There are things that you should hype. There are things that you shouldn't hype. You need to have discernment on which one of those things it is. What people are experiencing truly, and what I'm experiencing in my own life, and what other people are also experiencing, where did all the insects go? On the left, 1985. On the right, 2022. Spot the difference. I mean, this is just this is just a meme. It could be, this couldn't possibly prove anything, but maybe this is somebody that is experiencing, quite a bit less. But this is true, right? Whether this is even made up or not. This is what your car should have looked like back in the day when you went on a road trip. Lots of bugs. I remember the bugs. We all remember the bugs on our windshields and on our bumpers. If you go on a road trip today, this is what you experience. Absolutely no bugs. This is true for me and for, so many other people. Yeah, so this is not, I've heard from so many people this is the norm now. So no, people aren't making this up. They're not hyping this up. They're not imagining things. This is actually happening. Teslas are bug proof. There's also something else happening. I used to show the trees around my city quite often on the show. I haven't really lately, but I noticed some the other day. Yes, creative experiments. Remember the hood covers to catch the bugs. I never see hood or grill covers anymore because you don't need them. You don't need them. There's trees in my city that have lost all the leaves from the top of the trees. And so you'll have the tree and then you have these barren branches sticking out of the trees. That is new. That is completely new. Or, new for the last, however long I've noticed, which is about 5 or 6 years. Yes, the trees are very stressed. The trees have lost their foliage from the top. So there's a street, and I've explained this many times. I've actually shown pictures of it. There's a street, very famously, the trees cover the entire street. It's like you're driving in a tunnel of trees. And in the last, 6 or so years, 6, 7 years, the trees have lost all their greenery from the top, leaving these scary looking bare branches. And this is from heat. This is from heat. This happens, you see this in the summertime. All the leaves have fallen off the top parts of the branches. So, there's leaves on the bottom. These leafless branches are sticking out of the top. It's quite unnatural looking. And also the UV, yes. And what they do, the city workers go around and cut the bare branches off the top of the trees, so so it doesn't look weird or funny anymore. Leaving just a smaller tree with leaves on the branches, right? So they keep doing this every year. They keep cutting back the branches, and these trees have gotten smaller and smaller and smaller. At least the tops of the trees. So now this once tree-lined, tree-covered street is now open, and there's just smaller trees going down the street. And some of the trees have died completely. But I noticed the other day a few of these trees that had lost the leaves from the top of the trees with the bare branch sticking out. And I was like, oh, they need to, the guys haven't come out yet to cut the tops off the trees yet, so nobody goes, why do the trees look like that? They're not supposed to look like that. That's completely unnatural. And if you paid attention to it, you would be very alarmed, right? If you understood what was going on. Whether it's heat or UV or a combination of both, the trees aren't doing well. There are trees on my street in the last 6 years. Several trees have died, several, and there's a few dead trees just hanging out in people's front yards. But they've taken out at least 4 trees that I can think of on my street, fairly large trees, and there's a few dead trees again hanging out. So the trees are definitely stressed. We need a died suddenly film, but for trees, yeah, bees and all other species, exactly. Exactly, obsolete optics, right. Yeah, that's a scary situation, but imagine that happening to all the animals that you don't actually take notice of. It only matters when it happens to humans. That's okay. What these guys are trying to say is, what these people are talking about is they're talking about, the biosphere and the planet, and they want to save the planet, and they have this anti-human agenda. So smart. You know who has an anti-human agenda? Humans in general have an anti-human agenda because they don't actually. Denver says the dead tops are a direct result of ultraviolet radiation. Most likely, but they also are it is higher UV, increased thermal heat. Well, yeah, and people are always commenting on how the heat feels hotter these days, right? In the summertime, the heat feels hotter. If you're outside in the sun, you're like, Jesus, you feel like your skin is burning very quickly. What's up? Let's take this call from Joseph. How you doing? How's it going, man? I think I fixed my.
Hello, how are you?
Good, good.
I just wanted to add to the tree conversation. Uh, a friend of mine at the UW,
Yeah.
way back, 25 years ago or so, he informed me about a study they were currently then doing on trees along the Columbia Basin that were producing way more than 3 times the amount of pinecone seeds as normal, and they found that correlated in various places in the world.
Okay.
And like a precursor to something big coming. They couldn't explain it. I mean, there were big towers all along it. So the trees, I think what they concluded was partially, it's all environmental, and to collect it all under one roof is quite an endeavor. But the dehydrating, the sequences of storms, the ultraviolet radiation, all of that was looked at as contributing factors.
Sure.
And smog, of course.
And smog.
Anyway, I thought that might.
Okay. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. No, there's definitely. I mean, there's visible things going on, right? And
yeah.
Even if you're not a scientist, right? If you are paying attention to it, you can see that, like, oh, that's weird. That's a thing that hasn't happened before. We've gotten kind of lucky because the last few years, we had a few years in a row where it was just like crazy hot in the summer. Like we had some insane temperatures that were, alarmingly warm. It was alarmingly warm. It was like, oh crap, like this is bad. We've had a little bit, just in Southern California, we've had a little bit of a reprieve in the last few summers where, so it was weird. Last summer, it was just consistently very warm the entire summer. And so it was just consistently a little warmer than usual. So it was like very hot, but hot for a really long time, for weeks on end. And so it was just like miserable hot, but no like serious spikes in temperature. But but it was warm, and so that kind of warmth will damage plants for sure, and put stress, water stress, all kinds of stress on plants. But like the year before that, we had the few years before that, it was like a regular summer, but then we had like a couple of days where it got just insane, like 120 degrees for like a couple of days, just like way outside of the norm. But those couple of days of way outside of the norm was enough to just completely zap plants and trees. Like you just noticed, immediately after that, like all like people were in emergency mode trying to like save their trees and save their plants because it was so hot that it just like fried the leaves on the branches. It was crazy.
And you hear stories like that throughout the world, not always on the same year, but within the same 10-year period. And I think that's another ineffable quality of global warming is these cycles, like people in bird watching communities, which bird watching, that's really well organized globally in a
Right.
very uncentralized way. I mean, I didn't know anything about it till I started looking into all this stuff. And I noticed, well, these people really go out there and count these things
Right.
on their own and correlate with each other.
Sure.
And that count has gone just crazy sharp down.
Right.
And how do you incorporate that into the common discussion, right along with the trees?
Yeah. And I'm sure all these people are seeing, all of these bird watchers are seeing. I mean, I'm not a bird watcher, but I can tell you there are far fewer birds. Around my house, there used to be quite a few birds. Like they were really loud. They were very noticeable. We had a few bird colonies living in the trees around my house, and you could hear them in the morning. They're gone. They are gone. Like all those bird colonies are gone. There are a few, birds around, but like we lost all of the substantial like colonies of birds around here. So they're definitely gone. The insects are gone. It's weird, and it's scary for sure.
It definitely is, and I reflect the same experiences in both sides of the mountains, and it's interesting that on either side of the mountains, typically the same ratio of people have no idea of the changes we're talking about.
Right.
And how can they not is really the question I think that drives us all crazy on this side of the climate problem.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. I don't
Is
know.
your show growing steadily?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. It seems to be just about staying
I
the
mean,
same.
I wondered. Do you think that's by design? I mean, do you think there's an exterior force? Because I noticed it feels like all of these channels are growing, but I think we're more or less getting corralled tighter. So it feels like they're growing. Because I don't notice. I don't know. I could be wrong. I just wanted to get another perspective outside of my own. Maybe it's both.
It's hard to tell. It goes through cycles. But I actually haven't noticed any real growth in a really long time. Especially on YouTube. Like YouTube, my channel immediately got kind of a bump. It was back in the old algorithm days. Kind of pre when they were doing really hardcore.
I'm kind of comparing to that.
Yeah, but so I was, the first year or two of my channel, like I was seeing like fairly steady growth, but it still was muted compared to like what it should have been. And I was getting, that's what was weird is like all my videos were getting like 2,000 or 3,000 views a day. Some of them a few, a little lower views, but still 2,000 or 3,000 views a day. Not bad for a climate change channel. And even though I was getting all these views, my subscribers were growing very slowly, right? Like, so I'd get 10 and then I would lose 10. I'd get 12 and I'd lose 6. And I'd get, what I mean? It was like, they were already playing with the numbers. They were already playing with like, how do we keep this channel from growing?
So we don't even know what's true. Really.
We don't know what's real.
You could be way bigger
here's
than
a weird
seem.
thing. Here's a weird thing is then I got on to Rockfin, and I had this crazy growth. Like I got to 10,000 viewers on Rockfin in a space of like a year or two, and I was like, that's wild, right? And Rockfin is not that big of a channel, right? Not that many people know about Rockfin. So I was like, if I can get 10,000 viewers on Rockfin, subscribers, in a year, imagine what I should have done on YouTube. Like I should have been at like 20,000 subscribers or something like that already, but easily. But the other weird thing, even about Rockfin, is that I have all these followers. Now I'm at like almost 17,000 followers on Rockfin, which is cool, right? I want to get to 20,000 on Rockfin, but I'm not saying this has anything to do with Rockfin at all. It's just weird because I only have like, my viewership on Rockfin seems to just stay about the same, right? It's like, and it's actually gotten a little less. It's actually about like 15 or 20 people hang out with me on Rockfin every day. But I don't know if that's just, I think that's more a result.
The number of live viewers has declined.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's more a result of climate change being very unfashionable, right? Because the alternative news world is centered around like, all kinds of things, COVID and the WEF and like other things, and all those things I'm into.
And solutions.
I'm into all those things, but
solutions.
But they're not into climate change. Nobody's into climate change. Like climate change is extremely unfashionable right now. So it's like, and it's weird. It's a weird thing, and it's just how it is because all these channels parrot the same thing about climate change. It only is a control mechanism, not a real thing that's happening to people, and so and nobody wants to hear it anyways. Even if people know it's the truth, even if people know it's the truth, they don't want to hear it anyways, right? People know deep down something's wrong, but they don't want to actually pay attention to it because it would be like, "Ooh, that is too scary for me." Anyways, go. What were you going to say?
Yes, I was. No, I agree. Don't disagree with any of that. I'm just going to add another kettling technique. And I don't know if it's intentional because, like you're saying, this is psychology we're talking about on a mass scale. But the sites that are growing or the conversations that seem to be more exuberant than ever are the solution sites, except on Twitter. But I think Twitter, I'm new to Twitter, so I'm no expert, but I see a growing blob of interest in the kinds of things that your channel is talking about. But I think that's specific to the algorithm and me more than what's actually happening on Twitter. I don't know if I'm right or wrong.
Sites?
But I think the solution-based...
What do you mean solution sites?
Tech solutions, global reconditioning, weather control, that kind of thing. Those solutions are being talked about even in the mainstream here and there. Like solar energy is being pushed hard by many states.
Yeah.
And any talk against that is not wanted.
I haven't really seen it's weird. I haven't seen a lot of I don't see too many solution sites. I see some solution people on Twitter like Zeke Hossfather and like there's another guy, Mike Hudema. There's a few guys like that are on Twitter that are like climate guys, and they're like, yeah, if we can only switch over to renewables, saving the planet is easy. Here we go. We're saving the planet. And I'm not mad at them for they're actually kind of just, I see them more as accentuating the positive. Like they're trying to say, hey, here's, we're doing good things and we're going to make it and all that stuff. And I'm like, that's fine. I'm not mad at them for doing that. But I feel like it's detached from reality a little bit. I feel like it's a little bit like.
It totally is.
I don't think that's totally it. They're not really letting people know.
So we got the Dark Horse podcast.
Mm-hmm, yeah. Which is cool. I like them. Yeah.
And they're big on I like them a lot. I think they're very educated, but you get them into climate change and they only go so far and they follow the Lundgren, forget his first name. There's a big consensus around the globe on having solutions and technological based solutions.
Well,
And until those kinds of people are sitting at a table with you or someone on the other side of the fence, that's not going to change, and you're just going to run everybody aground.
Yeah, and it's weird too because it kind of sucks because there's mainstream climate. There's a lot of mainstream climate people or people that understand climate change who are locked into this solution thing, and that's it's frustrating because that is also a misdirect. You know, that's also in a sense, you know, not a lie, but it's just, you know, it's not the whole truth. It is not the whole truth. And
it is not. And
it's upsetting to me to see people like Catherine Hayhoe say, like, the Dallas airport is carbon free or carbon neutral. I'm just like, get out of here. You cannot say that thing.
Right.
It's just like, you are a knucklehead. You might as well be, you know, you're a climate scientist, but the things you're saying are so stupid. Like, you are misinforming people. You're giving people misinformation and on a basic level.
Is that with intent?
Yeah, that's intent. That's a totally.
You know,
intent.
I go nuts trying to figure out, is that it's got to be, how'd she get to where she is? And it boggles the mind. And I see the same kind of thinking.
Yeah, well, so there's a thing. That's why I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Same kind of thing.
We are conspiracy theorists. Right, we in the doomer world are conspiracy theorists. Right, we're conspiracy theorists because what you're saying isn't real. It's not true. You know that the Earth is in a very bad way, and
without any explanation.
And as soon as you bounce into the conspiracy into the doomer side, like Jem Bendell, you know, anybody, you name the names, right? Roger Hallam, Jem Bendell, Guy McPherson, you know, all the, you know, the bigger names in the doomer world, but there's plenty of other people in the doomer world. But as soon as you say, you know, as soon as you skip to the side of like, or even fucking goddamn, I can't think of his name. Filmmaker, Planet of the Humans, Mike. What's his last name? I don't know. I'm blanking out. You guys know who I'm talking about. Completely blanking on his name. He's a huge name, but anyways, you know, he basically gave a kind of a doomer in that film, Planet of the Humans. He kind of went doomer. He was like, these solutions are not solutions.
Yes.
And we're killing the planet regardless. Mike Moore, thank you. Sorry, I don't know why. Anyway, so, you know, Mike Moore firmly stepped into like the doomer sphere when he did that film. And if you do that, when you start saying that stuff, you are out. You are out of the club. You're out of the conversation. You're out of the loop, right? You're not allowed to talk. You know, they're like, shut up, right? And so that's
right.
It's hard to get through from where we're at because, man, you got to get through the first layer of, well, everybody on the left who's a establishment climate change person won't allow you to say what you're saying. They don't want you saying what you're saying. And then you got to get all the way through that to the other side, to the whole, you know, probably majority of people who don't want to know about climate change and don't want to talk about it and would prefer to be skeptical or ignorant, to, you know, getting all the way through to the other side and trying to get those people's attention is just, you know, it's pretty impossible. Right, because you got to get through the establishment, respectability, climate change people first, to the other side of people that are like, no, they're not, you know, it's all geoengineering. If only they'd start, you know, all the people that are just like, yes, they don't want to have a conversation about it. It's like, you know, it's just, you can't really. It's very difficult. It's very difficult. But one, you know, little by little, you know, people will get there. Sorry about the hum, guys. It's real bad, but I don't know what to do about it at the moment. I can't do anything about it at the moment. It just, yeah. So we are the de facto.
As the waves
we're the conspiracy theorists of climate change. We're the conspiracy theorists of climate change. We're the de facto. We're the black sheep. We're the outsiders. And like, you know, I don't know. Somebody said, okay, I'm completely off of the course of what I wanted to talk about today, but somebody
Sorry.
said D Truth said depopulation agenda, and I was like, the other day I was thinking maybe like maybe the depopulation agenda, like maybe they did, maybe they. Oh, I don't even know if I can talk about this on YouTube. I feel like I'm going.
Probably not.
Probably not. So wait. So hold on. Stay on the line, Joseph. I have William is calling too. But guys, I want to talk about something. I just want to put out.
Okay.
Well, let me see. Maybe I can phrase this in a way. Maybe there is. Maybe the depopulation agenda is something that somebody programmed, right? Like maybe somebody, some higher ups, were like, the only way okay, this is the only way out of this. Maybe they do, want to set like a doomsday device out there that's like, we're screwed. We know we're screwed. This is the only possible way out, mitigation, right? Maybe they just set a time release, release. Let's be careful because we're on YouTube. But we set a time release, product out there or something, right, into the population, and that because that's how and I don't agree with this. I think this is bad. I think that's like not the way to do it. But maybe they're just like, well, we'll never be able to convince people that this is what's actually happening, right? We'll never be able to convince people of the truth of what we've done to the planet. We'll never be able to convince people that the only way out is some other, whatever it might be, just maybe it's evil, maybe it's altruistic on some levels, but maybe maybe a few people out there were just like, let's detonate this doomsday device. It's a time release doomsday device, and that's our only hope. And good luck to us all, right? You know what I mean? I'm out. Peace out, right? We'll just see how this goes down, right? I don't know. I can see it. I can see it on some level. Go ahead.
That is the question from outside you looking at the top down. And is it illogical even, and maybe not from their perspective? The problem is, just like I keep saying and my alter ego has said before, they're considering only a portion of the equation and not blaming the bulk of the massive civilization on the problem. So eliminating the people they think is going to eliminate enough exhaust fumes to cure the problem, yet the problem is going to continue because it's tied into the actual mass movement of materials and the extent of civilization and biodiversity. You can't have all this whether you have the people or not. And
right.
Because of their viewpoint, that's almost inconceivable. Because, right. So either way, it seems to me that everybody's got to get on the same board of education.
Right.
Is that not? Oh, go ahead. What were you saying?
Yeah, no. I mean, I see what you're saying. It's just, again, it's a dumb plan, right? Like whatever their plans are, people think that, whatever people think the WEF is up to, or Klaus Schwab, or any of those people are up to, all those plans are stupid AF, right? There are dumb plans that none of it is going to work.
Yes.
And none of it's well thought through. And that's why
what we have to teach.
That's why I think it's just like, the inevitability of these plans is not inevitable, because when you set stupid plans in motion, you get the wrong results, right? You do stupid stuff, you get you get dumb things in return.
Right.
And so the inevitability, I don't think there's an inevitability in it at all, because it's just stupid plans. It's really dumb plans. However, I do have a concern with, somebody who's just like, let's set this time release doomsday device out there and that's it. We just rolled it on out there. It's gonna explode. Everybody duck. good, again, like we're not, we're all already counting ourselves out of of the game. So let's just roll it out there and see what happens. And
By doing that.
I fear, because that's a stupid plan too, right? That's a stupid plan. But I fear these stupid plans.
It's a nihilistic plan that.
Right. Right.
Yeah, I think the nihilism is baked into the non-imagining. They can't imagine life without jet planes. It's just not possible to imagine.
Right. Right.
And it's almost a religion. Well, it is a religion, isn't it? Civilization is a religious experience.
Yeah.
Basically. And if you tie it to money, it looks really hideous, because really what you're saying is, I come up with this, maybe you do too, in conversations, especially online. It often comes down to profitability. And it's like, well, because this actuary says that this is a good idea, it must be, because they're smart. And why would they put money in something that's stupid?
Right.
That's literally the logic. I mean,
Sure.
I'm saying it in a very boiled down way, but
right. Right.
do you not come across that?
Yeah, no, I mean, that's the thing. Well, that's the other thing, is they can't see outside of the paradigm, and neither can anybody else. And that's also the thing that's silly to me when from the other side of the alternative journalists, well, they want to take away our cars and take away our freedom and our way of life and our way of life. It's like, dude, that's over. I don't care. Sure, you have you think that this is going to continue forever.
Right. That's a foregone conclusion.
You're acting like this is going to go on forever, and it's sad that these people think that there is a continuation of this. If they only fight the man, it's like, no, you can fight the man all you want, but like you can fight the man and you can win there, but you're not.
This goes away.
But this goes away. Whatever it is you think you're saving, personal cars and gasoline, and you're done. This is done. And so they can't even see outside of that paradigm, and that's a sad thing, that they can't see outside of it. But whatever. Hey man, I'm gonna let you go because I got William on the line. I'm gonna take his call. And
good to hear from William, and good to talk to you.
All right, man. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hey William, how you doing? Oh, sorry, I got to take your call. I got to actually press the button. Hello, William. Are you there? Choir Boy says the reason is completely fictitious too, that of overpopulation. I don't know if that's fictitious. I'm not sure. I think personally that's a problem. But what's up, William? How you doing?
Hey, the app was bugging out on me. Yeah, I think it's good hearing Joseph. I remember the early Earth days, the original, International Panel Climatic Change reports, and everybody was all around that, like an Earth Day, about really trying to create change. Remember? Yeah, I mean, there was no disputing that or pushback. This is a recent phenomenon, don't you think? In the last several years, where there's this denialism going on climate change. It's like, I don't remember that back in the 80s. You know what I mean? It was pretty well acknowledged that if we didn't get,
Yeah.
Kind of
Well,
weird.
it's well,
Like
yeah.
one
Yeah, totally. Nihilistic. There is a. It's strange. You're right. It's definitely very strange. Like and I even from people on the left, like people that are pretty progressive or consider them lefties or right. They're really out to lunch on climate change. They're really like, nah, that ain't happening, or it's not that bad, or what are you talking about? And I'm like, there is some serious issues with acceptance, right, on by humans about what is going on. And I think it's
Yeah.
it's like that's another form of mass psychosis, right? There's a deeply I feel like as a population, as a species or whatever, we deeply feel and know that there's something wrong, on a mass level, but that's also
yeah.
producing some deep resistance to that truth, right? Of course it does, right? Because it's just not pretty. It's not fun. It's just not a fun thing to think about. It's horrific to think about, and so nobody wants to think about that. And it's the article I read from a few months ago about people being really, all the conspiracy theorists being really like super hyped on the mustache twirling evil people at the top, right? It's like, well, yeah, that's bad, but there's something way worse than that, and that's called biosphere collapse, right? And nobody wants to even, it's kind of almost easier to go like, well, if only we get rid of these bad people, if only, whatever, talking about politics or whatever's going on, it's just like you can't even really like fathom the issues with climate change, because there isn't really an answer. There really isn't like, well, what do we do about that? Everybody's kind of like, I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's an interesting layered. Yeah, it's layered over decades. I mean, remember when I was younger, Rachel Carson's Silent Spring. I remember that book came. No, that came out in the early '60s, and it was pretty much popular when I was in my early teens. And here we are. I mean, you're right. I remember being a kid in New England. Man, I'll tell you what, if you're out anytime during the summer and it started to get dark, you got your ass dive bombed by mosquitoes. It was horrible.
Yeah.
You had to run inside. It was like, it was crazy,
Even here in
recently,
Los
I haven't
Angeles.
been out in a while.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, I haven't been out in a while because my hips are shot. I can't get out now. But when I go back a couple of years before the pandemic, when I was able to get out, I'd sit down on my exercise bike in the driveway, put on some YouTube, sing along with that, and I'm like, where are all the mosquitoes? What happened? And like prior to that, of course, I noticed driving, big difference from driving in the mid '70s. Like I said, you go on to Rhode Island, going to college, up to 95 from where I am in Bridgeport. By the time I got there, yeah, my windows, I had to use the window washer a couple times because all the bugs, you know what I mean, in the summer.
Yeah.
And dramatic drop off. And I often wonder what's happening to the bird population, and then you answered it, because I haven't been following the bird watchers, but it has to be that's what they eat. You know what I mean? And,
of course. Yeah.
And so it's maddening to talk to these people on the climate change mindset, non anthropogenic. Oh no, humans have nothing to do with it. There's a natural cycle of actually we're going into a solar minimum, which is true, which totally puts a kibosh on. In other words, the solar minimum, so fewer solar flares and whatnot. We're supposedly entering a cycle of that. So if we do get any cooling, they'll be like, aha, told you, you were wrong.
Right.
Wait a minute. And then what happens when we get out of that minor solar minimum? You know what I mean? It's going to be like, like,
It's
and
not,
I,
yeah, it's
you
not
mentioned
having
something
it's not
I noticed before when I
sorry, I didn't mean to
something you noticed before, which you said. I was like, no worries. I if you want to say something, maybe I jump on the next subject.
Keep going. I was just agreeing with you.
Did you want to ask that?
No, keep on going.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're exactly right. I remember being out in the summertime, and I wasn't one to use sunscreen. I'm Italian. I was like, freaking sunscreen. And, I have to be out quite a few hours on a really hot day to get a burn, And then more recently, I'd go out, and within a half hour, my forehead would get red. I'm like, what the heck happened? It's not that hot. How was it I come inside and my face is like very short period of time, relatively speaking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
No, it's pretty.
so
It's
yeah,
pretty bad.
go ahead.
It's pretty bad. No, definitely. Like the,
Yeah.
and quite.
So
I hear quite a few people say the same thing. Like it feels like the sun is hotter, right? Like when you, if you're out in the sun for any amount of time,
yes,
it is. It's pretty. It's pretty. I don't know what ferocious. I guess.
absolutely. I can only imagine what it's like for livestock who can't get under shade, in certain areas when it gets this hot now. It must be just horrific. And but it's I think part of the problem, like you talk about, is the mass psychosis. There's a need for denial because to really embrace it, it's overwhelming. I mean, catastrophic, and
Yeah.
it's like too late. Like to me, remember the turn of the century, you had in studying, you had hydrothermal carbonization, where they could have been making biofuel out of poop since the early 1900s, right? That was the HTC, biothermal carbonization, and I forget that scientist's name, Friedrich. I can't remember his last name. But then you also had all Tesla's advancements and the Tesla coil, the potential, which I guess J.P. Morgan said, if we can't meter it, we don't want it. If you want to expand
Yeah.
that communications tower into free energy, all right,
All right.
can't have that. Oh, by the way, remember I was telling you there was a actual Tesla tower built somewhere in Milford, Texas?
Yeah. Yeah.
What was that company called? Remember months ago we were talking about that.
Yeah. I think I looked
I'm
up.
having
The,
a
I think
blank
I
on what
looked up
it was in
the.
Milford, Texas.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I think I looked up the article on that.
Yeah, from last I saw it went bankrupt.
Oh, really? Okay.
Went belly up. These are a bunch of, yeah,
That's crazy.
yeah, of course, because they were ex-military guys. They knew what they were doing. That was all about whatever experiments they wanted to do, but they weren't really into rolling it out for the general public because, you know, they know the science. They've had Tesla science behind the scenes for a long time. A lot of this stuff, right? That they say there was crates and crates of stuff he had, or not crates, that's the right word, but you know, boxes and boxes of items that were confiscated upon his death out of his hotel room, supposedly. And so who knows where they have it, what they've done with it.
Right.
But and I'm not an expert on these, but there's certainly we had that window of opportunity. It seemed, when technology could really move forward and we could do something, but it wasn't going to be profitable for the
Exactly.
people in charge.
Exactly. Did you see? Well,
Now it's like,
right. Before I get out of here, William, I wanted to. Did you see this article about the UN says the ozone layer is slowly healing, hold amend by 2066? Now, this is funny to me because I thought it was already healed. For one thing, they're it's kind of like, what? Right? Didn't they already fix this problem? The Montreal Protocol, which is a long time ago, and they already did it, and they're like, oh, we already healed the ozone layer. Now they're saying like, well, it's going to heal by 2066. It's real slow. I'm like, no, it's not. The ozone layer is, I feel like it's worse than it ever was, and they're just not really like letting us know. And this ties into it feeling hotter, right? Yeah. Like I really, that's what I thought, Andre. I thought it was healed already, and I was like, wait a minute. So when I saw this, I was like, really? I thought it was already like they already clinked champagne glasses, like clink. We did it. We healed the ozone layer. Montreal Protocol. Nations coming together. No, it's not healed. It's not healed. So they're revealing in this article. They're revealing that it's not healed, and that it's going to be like 40 more years. But like, who's going to be here to notice if it's healed or not? Not a lot of people.
right,
I don't think there's going to be many people around to actually notice this is healed or tell you whether it's true or not. But like
it's kind of maddening, the whole thing.
It is. Hey, William, I got to get out of here. But
Yeah, let me ask you something. Do you ever?
What's up?
Okay.
Go ahead.
Well,
Go
I
ahead.
just wanted to say I did put something in the live. real quick, there's an article. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau that Elizabeth Warren started,
Yes.
the Fifth Circuit Court just concluded it was unconstitutional. You got to be freaking kidding me,
Wow.
right? Like, that's all we need now. While people going more and more into date is, yeah. So I thought I'd let you, maybe we'll talk about it another day, but I just make aware. I don't know if you knew or not. So.
Oh, I didn't know that. Thank you for letting me know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just happened a couple days ago.
yeah. Thanks for letting me know. I don't know why that would be unconstitutional.
Right,
protecting
okay.
consumers. All right, William. Thank you so much. Have a good one, man.
Okay, thanks.
All right, bye. All right, guys. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure what to think about the ozone layer because people are reporting that the sun is quite hot. People are reporting very high UV levels all the time, right? People are reporting. There's a admitted danger especially in the southern hemisphere, with the ozone layer, and the fact that there's a huge hole that opens up, and during a certain time of the year, I think it's winter time, that you're supposed to be extremely careful with exposure to to radiation, to UV levels with this ozone layer. So this is a weird story to me. This is just strange to me. I thought we were done already. I thought we did it, and we didn't. I'm betting that in a few years they're going to go, yeah, about that ozone layer. It's completely shredded. We don't have any ozone layer left. Good luck, everyone. Yeah. So it's going to take 43 more years to heal this ozone hole. I don't know, guys. Progress is slow, but we're making progress. Do you think it'll heal before everything melts and burns up? I don't know about that. All right. Thanks so much. I'm going to check on the coffees real quick. Oh, I forgot to say I got a tip, after hours tip from Obsolete Optics yesterday. Thank you, Obsolete Optics. I appreciate you. I got one yesterday from Obsolete Optics. Checking the rock fins. No tips as of yet, but that's a good way to support the channel. But anyways, thank you guys. I'm going to see you here at the regular time. Why can't I press the right buttons at the right time? I don't know. I'm having issues with that. I'm going to see you guys here tomorrow at the regular time of 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And thank you so much for your eyes, your ears, and your conscience. Until next time, peace.